I started doing a new service and I wanted to have a specific calendar just for people who are purchasing that one service.
You could be the best coach in the world, but starting a business is a completely different skill.
But I knew that I wanted to give myself a chance, and I knew that I felt like what I was doing was important.
It's my favorite thing ever. So I feel like I never work a day in my life.
Hey everyone, welcome back to How I Work. Here's the deal if you're new here. If you run your own business or keep a lot of plates spinning, you know the chaos. You're booking clients, you're sending invoices, you're answering emails, you're doing the work. And somewhere in there, you're trying to figure out if you're doing any of it right. You wear a lot of hats. Some might fit great, and some you grabbed in a panic and never took off. Well, this show is for you. Every episode, we sit down with brilliant business baddies and ask them about how they actually work. We get the real version, the tools, the boundaries, the lessons learned the hard way. With that, I'm actually beyond excited to announce that we are trying out something new and have two special guests for this episode. Amirah Raveneau-Bey has spent more than 25 years helping companies navigate growth, from Fortune 500 organizations to high-growth technology company. Today, she's the founder of Grow, Scale, Develop, where she serves as a strategic revenue advisor and executive coach to founders and leadership teams. She helps leaders uncover what's really standing in the way of growth, whether it's strategy, leadership, or execution, so they can build organizations that scale beyond the founder. Her mission? It's to help develop 1,000 exceptional leaders over the next decade. And we also have Hayes Waldrop. He has spent over 20 years building the Institute of Healthcare Executives and Suppliers, or IHES, a company that connects healthcare's most influential leaders through private, invitation-only meetings. Now, as founder and CEO, he's built a network that's brought together more than 6,500 executives and suppliers across hospital, pharmacy, and supply chain leadership. All right, you might be asking, these two guests are quite different. Obviously, our guests have different businesses, but what they've figured out is how to bring AI into the mix without losing the human part of what they do. And that's what we're here to dive into today. So with that, Amirah and Hayes, welcome to How I Work.
Happy to be here.
Hey, Greg.
How's it going?
Good. How are you?
Doing well, trying to stay cool in this heat. I do have so many questions for each of you, but we kick things off a little bit differently here on How I Work. So many times when we're asked, tell me about yourself, we start with the job. Well, we want to start with the human side because there were so many more things. So we want our audience to get to know you a little bit more. So I'm going to ask you a few quick fire questions, and without overthinking, you'll go with your gut reaction. How does that sound for both of you?
Scary.
Let's do it.
All right, cool. Well, good things come from pushing us into scary things. So first thing, morning person or night owl?
Morning.
Morning for sure.
Perfect. I am the lone night owl. I see. All right. Favorite way to unplug or touch grass?
I'm going to say the arts, music, comedy, theater. Love that stuff.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, Greg, I would have to answer. To me, it's exercise, getting outside, walking, lifting weights or whatever. Get outside and move and exercise. That's my way to kind of unwind. And if, as you say, touch grass for sure.
Amazing. Love it. All right. This one might be a little bit harder, but dream vacation.
I mean, I need a trip that's blending wellness, food, beautiful water, history, culture, like vibrant city, great music, Japan, Bali, Vietnam are on the list. Like,
yes,
who wants to,
am
come on,
tagging
you know
along.
You want to come with me?
Yes, bring me in the suitcase, I'll tag along.
All right, you want a really boring answer? Whatever she said. That's exactly that. How do you actually top that? That's too good. So no, I'll go exactly. Amir, it sounds like a good vacation.
Truly, I was like, sign me up. Oh my goodness. All right, so now that we know a little bit more about you outside of work, I'm sure our listeners are eager to hear about your origin stories and your career journeys. So I want to dive in there. Amirah, with you first. I'm curious to know, how did you get into this line of work in the first place? And then over to you, Hayes.
Yeah. I mean, I spent most of my career being the person companies call when they wanted to grow, whether it was building a new sales organization, scaling a revenue team, or just helping a business through its next stage. I find myself solving the same kind of problems over and over. And along the way, I also co-founded a startup myself, which gave me a completely different perspective. I got to experience what it's like to be on the other side of the table, the uncertainty, the pressure, and how lonely leadership can feel when every decision rests on you. And so that experience made me realize something. While every business is different, the fundamentals of growth really aren't. You still have to solve a real customer problem, deliver on your promise, build the right team, create the right process, and just keep adapting as you grow. And at some point, I realized I didn't just enjoy building businesses, I loved helping leaders figure out what was standing in the way of growth. And that's when I decided to build, grow, scale, develop, so I can do that work every day with founders and leadership teams across different industries and grow.
I love that. I love that.
That's great. Well, I'll chime in there a little bit. I started my career in the medical device sales business many, many years ago, as you can tell by the gray hair. But I got involved in several venture capital startups here in Nashville, and everything's from technology to mainly technology. And one thing led to another. I saw a need where companies needed to be able to connect with their ultimate customers, if you will, to learn exactly what the problems were so that the companies could help build solutions to solve it. So not knowing any better, I was dumb. I was very young, and I said, why not? And so my wife and I, we said, let's do it. So we created this IHES 24 years ago now, and we've developed it over the years. And so I kind of like being independent. I like kind of everything when it's also hard. Sometimes it's all on your shoulders. It's got to get done. It goes back to you, but I like it that way. And so I've been very fortunate, and we've had a really good run, but that was kind of how it all started for us.
I love that. Well, and I wonder for both of you, was there kind of a pinpoint moment when you were like, this is my inspiration? This was the thing that tipped me over to go off on your own and create kind of this gap that needed filling for each of you?
Yeah, I mean, I would say part of the inspiration was a good colleague of mine, a former friend who started their own business, who asked me for coffee or lunch and just kept asking me for advice. And I was just, chatting and giving him my thoughts. And he would just kind of joked and was like, "You're the cheapest date ever." And because I was able to really help him really think through some strategic decisions that he needed to make. And even though I kind of just took it for granted, this is just what I've been doing for so long, it came clear that like, hey, there's actually value in here in a really meaningful, impactful way that I can bring.
Love that.
Yeah, and I kind of echo a little bit of what she just said. Being able to bring value to people is incredible. I can remember that after our very first meeting we ever had, we didn't know what we were doing, and fortunately it worked out well. I remember on the car ride home, we looked at each other and go, this is real. We brought value, and everybody enjoyed it. And it was kind of that light bulb moment, like, okay, I'm truly an entrepreneur now. And I didn't realize that before, I don't think, but I like kind of being in control of my path. And so, yeah, we've been very fortunate, but that was kind of that moment for me.
I love that. Well, and even getting more specific, like, do both of you happen to remember kind of your first client and maybe even who they were, or is it kind of like a blur at this point for both of you?
I think you always remember your first in some ways, because I remember that former colleague who came to me when I was starting my startup, who said, "Hey, I got to make some really difficult decisions. COVID was impacting the revenue growth of many teams. She had to restructure her team, rethink revenue. And she's like, I know you're doing this, but I really need your advice and I trust you." And kind of brought me on ad hocly to just be a thought partner. And, what surprised me was that it just wasn't work anymore, right? It was so super easy. I felt energized after every call. And so it made it really clear that that is exactly what I needed to do. And so my first client is, where she kind of just said, "Come on, let's do this." And I just jumped and did it. And then she referred, and I've been doing it ever since.
Love that.
Yeah, Greg. Yeah, I vividly remember my very first client, like probably the first 5 or 6, frankly. But the very first one was a guy named Gil Miner. He was a legend in healthcare. He's passed away recently, but he had a company called Owens and Minor. It's one of the largest distribution companies in America. I remember calling him after I was referred into him, told him what we were trying to do, trying to build. And he was just like, "Hey, you build it, we'll be there." And I just remember, that kind of that validation from an industry, kind of an icon. It made it a lot easier. It gave me a lot more confidence. And every single call after that, of course, it gets a little easier, but still, it's never really easy. But he gave me a lot of confidence to move forward for sure.
Yeah, I love that you both kind of, it brought you back right away. I think a lot of our listeners can probably relate to that. So very cool. Well, as we kind of dive into a little bit more specific and on our road to talking about the topic for today, AI, a lot of our listeners are wearing a lot of hats, as I've mentioned. And so they're often curious about the day-to-day workflows, the challenges you overcome, and like what you've learned along the way. And so, Hayes, I'll start with you on this one, but looking back on the past year, like what are you most proud of? Like what have been the milestones you've reached, a relationship you've built, like, or a particular client's growth? What would that win be for you?
I could probably go a couple different ways. And one of them, if I kind of make it introspective, I would just say I've grown as an executive, frankly, because of AI. I'm not a developer, never had that skill set, but due to AI, I have been able to, I feel empowered because I built quite a few tools that I use every single day. And matter of fact, this morning before this, I've been working on that. And so I think, just my growth, and I've always just, I've kind of been a personal growth kind of guy anyway, but having tools that kind of, I feel like level the playing field, for others, then, so that would probably be the way I would answer that.
I love that.
Yeah, I would say for me, there are definitely great business milestones I'm proud of. I'm really happy that my team is getting bigger than me to be able to help and reach more. But I am excited when my clients are growing, particularly in this market. I think it's really helpful. So seeing one of my businesses really create a brand refresh, figuring out how to lead through change. And similar to what Hayes says, is like using tools and technology to accelerate that and being a thought partner with them to help them figure out what are those tools that they should be using has been a really great accomplishment, because I think people are ready to receive, and they're not as nervous around using tools these days and integrating them. So that is actually a huge accomplishment, because it's here and we're moving forward with it.
Yes, I absolutely love that. And I just like when we take a moment, because sometimes we can get lost in the speed of work and new innovations to not celebrate those wins. And so I actually want to even take it back way before you started your business. But if you could go back in time and give both of yourselves advice when you were just starting your business, what would you say?
First, just continue to have more conversations and spend less time trying to get everything perfect. Sometimes, I tell this to my clients, right? Like you're just starting. I don't need the perfect website. I don't need the perfect offer. I don't need the perfect plan. What I need is just to try and test, have conversations, talking to people that you add value to. Like there's huge uncovering right there. And it tells you actually more. Sometimes your clients give you the best taglines of who you are. And it's interesting. Like my last name is Raveneau-Bey. I never connected to like Raveneau, revenue, until a client said that. And I was like, oh, wow, thanks. So it's things like that. And then I would just say, protect your time, because, your thinking time is fiercely as your meeting time. Can't, shout out Calendly without doing it. It's like, you got to protect that time, because it enables you to be able to do more, and your thinking time is golden for you. So I think those are the two things that I would absolutely tell myself to do. Do it quicker, faster, sooner.
You kind of stole my thunder there. I'm a little disappointed, because I'd have to say, when I talk to, young execs particularly, it is always don't overthink it. Just get action. And I just think, I think we're all kind of, you think about who we are as an exec, you have little confidence issues or whatever, and you're like, I don't want to put it out there to the world until it's perfect, as you mentioned. And I think that just hinders so many people's growth. And you just got to throw things up on the wall sometimes, and knowing it's not perfect, and see what sticks, and then run with it, particularly as a true entrepreneur and early on. But and just kind of be bold, just go with it. And people they're not really caring about you as you think they do. They care more about themselves, right? And so just go get it done and be bold. I think that'd probably be the one small little suggestion I would have.
I love that. And I feel like a lot of entrepreneurs or small business owners are recovering perfectionists. So starting that business is a great way to like stretch those muscles, fight the inner saboteur, and kind of move through that, which I think is always something that I still struggle with. So we talk about like what you're doing within your businesses, like what is in your tech stack, maybe the top 3-ish tools that you really couldn't live without to help you do your business in today's world. Hey, we can start with you.
All right, at least you can't steal my thunder this time.
You're reading my notes over here.
All right, well, this is kind of the obvious one, right? I'm going to say Calendly. I have been a paid subscriber at Calendly, I think, for like 8 or 10 years. Oh, I was one of the original in that first group, I think, and literally I couldn't do it without it. I think I book roughly 350 something calls a year, something like with it. And you can only imagine how many saved emails that prevents the back and forth and things. And frankly, y'all have also done a wonderful job and, creating more of like a CRM piece to it, as well as the recording aspect, which I love. So honestly, that is way up there on the list. And when people ask me early on, I always say that, go get that done. That's number one. Probably two. The other thing that I use every single day, it's a little tool called Whisper Flow. It's a little app. It's an AI voice to text app that you can use on obviously your PC, Mac, or phone. And it literally, I can essentially type at about 100 plus words a minute with it. And it corrects my spelling, corrects my, everything about it. And it's great for you, particularly, sending emails and prompting and those type of things, because it's so much faster. And I guess last would clearly be my AI tool of choice. Currently, it's Claude Cowork and Code. I love it. And I can't imagine how we would work without it now. If they took it away from me, I think I'd be quite upset. but those three right there are kind of the mainstay of my stack for sure.
Okay, Hayes took all my answers, but yes, for sure.
Finally. Now you have to make up something.
I am. I got to go deep, but top 3. So Calendly, of course, right? Scheduling, note taker, CRM. It's got great rich data. If you're a data nerd like myself, excuse me, look at the data and it can tell you so much about how you're spending your time and who you're speaking with. It might help you figure out who your next client is because it's in the data. The second is, of course, you got to, you get LLM, Claude. I used Chat a few years ago, back in 2023 when it first came out, and then moved over. So that's been a way to be able to be a strategic thought partner for me. But then obviously using Cowork has been a game changer as well, and building some agents there to be able to help make my life a little bit easier. And then third, I'm gonna call out as like Lovable. Lovable has been a great tool that I've been using to be able to like launch ideas, launch pieces of it, help my clients rethink. Again, this is back to like being an entrepreneur. You got to move fast, be bold, as Hayes mentioned, and you can actually build something for yourself really quickly if you need to. An honorable mention to the old-fashioned notebook, because sometimes I just need to write stuff down. It's a tool.
I love that. Yeah,
wait, that's 4. Wait, that's 4. Yeah. She broke the rules here.
I got to be bold. Didn't you just tell me to be bold?
I did.
Okay,
I'm
following your advice.
Sorry.
I love that. Okay, so you both have mentioned a couple of tools, and thank you for mentioning Calendly. As always, I've been a user 10-ish years now, so I love that. But I want to pivot specifically to AI. Like it's a hot topic, right? There's a lot of people still skeptical, and so when did you first realize AI could actually be beneficial to your business? Was there a specific project or moment for either of you? Amirah, we can start with you.
Mm-hmm. I mean, at first I did what everyone else was doing, writing, brainstorming, getting through a blank page. But the real shift came when I stopped thinking of it as a content creation tool, which I know people are using a lot, started using as a thought partner, right? Priming it and telling it who I needed to be. So, I'm looking for patterns in the work that I do around client conversations, leadership meetings, designing workshops, pressure testing ideas. And so AI really could help me quickly synthesize information that I would spend a ton of time up late at night doing, or challenge assumptions. I give it the permission to do that. So it's complementary. And I'm, what happens when you're experienced in the game, 25 years, and, Hayes has mentioned he's been in the game a really long time. There's nothing that can replace your experience, but it can give you more opportunities to apply it. And so that's been a really huge moment for me, moving from content to also being able to be a thought partner.
I love that. Well, I love that you just talked about like challenging it, because I think that I call it like Claude is my healthy debate partner. And like, if you are the expert still, and so sometimes you have to have that expertise to be able to train it and work with it so it actually gives you something. And if it's hallucinating or if it's just off, like you still have to correct it that way. And I think that's very important. So I love that. Hayes, what about you?
Yeah, I think, like many people early on, I used it literally to draft emails and little marketing copy, that type of thing. And then, through time, I was like, okay, this is really cool. And to your point of using it as a thought partner, and hey, what do you think about this? Loved it. Then about probably 6-7 months ago, I kind of dawned on me, like, I need to build something that would help my business. And for decades, I used basically a Microsoft Access. I had a great developer. He could do all kinds of things, but I was like, I could do a lot better. So I literally began to build my own, and we did. And it took me about, 2 months, and I have an incredible tool that I never could have done ever before. And so when I realized that, this light bulb went off on me. I started making, like, for my meeting app, I did one for my website. I did all these cool things that, again, I could have never done. I never did. And so it's just, I've kind of had that crawl, walk, run moment here. And I feel like so many people that I speak to are still on that crawl, walk stage. They haven't had the light bulb moment yet. And when they do, that's when it's cool. That, to me, it's kind of like, look what we can do. And so it's, I still think we're on the early stages of this, right? But to me, it's a great time to be an entrepreneur and, to be a leader in companies for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and Hayes, I want to stay with you to ask this question, and then I'll move over to Amir. But say you're working with like a client or a coach or someone that might be still in the crawl, or maybe they're still skeptical. Like, what advice or first step would you have for them to really see the benefit of what AI can do for their productivity, for saving time, and overall for their business?
Yeah, I mean, I've had a couple of those experiences, actually. A dear friend of mine, I showed him one day, and he didn't know. I don't know how to use it. I don't know how could that help me, right? And so I remember I said, let me show you what I built. And he was like, holy cow, that's kind of cool. You did that? And I was like, I know, I did it. I don't know how to code, but I've written probably 100,000 lines of code. I don't know how to do it. And he was like, aha, okay. And so the next thing I know, he'd built several apps basically for his sales force. Maybe if someone's out there, he built one for his sales reps to go to national meetings. And so it'll have all the information about their hotels, who's attending, their booths, all that stuff. Then he can roll that out as a web app. So it was kind of neat to see him, kind of like the light bulb moment for him. I think you just got to think about your business process. And, you could create a product you could sell out to the market. But to me, the biggest opportunity for most people is going to be internal, and how you can automate things and make it more efficient. Keep things, you don't drop things that you should if you're doing it the right way. And so, yeah, that's how I'd probably, kind of pitch it the most.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, for me, I do it a few ways with clients and anyone I'm with. I'm always say, first, start with something really fun, right? Mm-hmm. Help it plan your next vacation. Help compare restaurants, build an itinerary, do something where they can really it's not work related, that it's something fun. There's low stakes to the game, because once they built the confidence and understanding how to prompt, how to look at the information, then you can bring it to much easier to bring into your business. And then the second thing that I'd say after you do that, let's not ask it. It can't replace your expertise, but ask it to take work off your plate. So that means maybe it's helping you look for themes that you might have missed and some meeting notes. Maybe it's helping you brainstorm ideas for a leadership retreat. It could do a few things, but I think once you kind of take that next step to help have it think with you to take work off your plate, as a strategic revenue advisor, I'm always thinking about return on time. So if AI can save me an hour of administrative work, then that's another hour I can spend with another client, building a relationship, developing new business. So I like to tell people to approach AI as you are absolutely the expertise. You know, that's how you got to where you need to be. But let's use it as a way to create more capacity to use that expertise where it matters most.
I think that's great. And Amirah, I want to actually stay with you on that because like you've worked with leaders across industries, again, from established organizations to those founder-led businesses, which includes companies building either AI or with AI. So how has working with those AI founders influenced the way that you actually think about AI in your own work, as well as in that advice that you do give to your clients?
You know, working with AI founders has made me both more optimistic and more grounded, right? And one hand, I've seen firsthand how quickly these tools are evolving and the incredible opportunities that they create for businesses of every size. Every size can take advantage of it. On the other hand, it's reinforced that AI is rarely the strategy, it's the accelerator. So companies I see getting the most value aren't necessarily using the newest tools. They're using the ones that are clear about the problem they're trying to solve first, right? That's actually changing how I advise all my clients. So we don't start with the question of what AI tool I should use. We start with the question of what's slowing your business down, right? Where are your people spending too much time that doesn't create value? And where do your leaders need more capacity? And that's once we get those answers, then we can find the right tool that is enable companies to be able to move really forward. So leaders who will thrive aren't the ones using the most AI. It's usually the ones that know where human judgment creates value and where AI creates leverage.
That's great. Well, and Hayes, I want to myth bust with you a little bit because it seems like healthcare is in an interesting spot, specifically with AI, and that there's real pressure to adopt it, but obvious like reasons to move carefully with HIPAA compliance and all of that. So what are you noticing about how the executives at your meetings are actually talking or feeling about AI right now? Is there more excitement or hesitation? Where do you find things in that industry?
Yeah, it's a really good perspective. HIPAA and all those things definitely impacts the utilization of AI, particularly in health systems themselves, hospitals, and physician offices, those type of things. Definitely, they're careful because there are wonderful tools. There's some incredible, platforms that they could roll out, but they don't because they have to be so careful about sharing information, ransomware attacks, all those things. So in reality, they're kind of slow on the health system side of really using it to its capabilities. Where I see it is on the companies who are selling those products and services to them, on the supplier side of things. They're definitely using it, internally, externally as both. But that's where I see the hyper growth. But when all of a sudden that company has that product or that solution that has to tie in to the health system's infrastructure, IT system, it slows things down pretty dramatically, unfortunately. But they have to be careful. As you can imagine, it can literally shut a hospital down if you do it the wrong way or all kinds of issues. So they are very, very excited about it. But again, it's just kind of like they're having to put the reins on a little bit.
Yeah, and I think that's fair too, because in the scheme of things across the timeline of AI, we're still in such early stages before we're in I think we're moving past automation a little bit to true AI and learning language models and everything. So it'll be exciting, but that tracks, and I feel like that's very fair. All right, as we kind of wrap up, I want to have a little bit of fun. So we have a brand new segment that we are calling Bots or Not.
Oh, wow. Like a game show here. Okay.
Yes.
Nice.
So we're doing the fun. So here's how this is going to work. I'm going to throw a task at you, and you're going to answer with bot or not. So would you use AI to help you with these tasks? So bot, or would you do it yourself or not? We want your just quick gut reaction, no explaining, and then we'll dig into the why maybe on a couple afterwards. So
Wait,
how do we
are
feel
there
about
prizes,
this?
Greg? I mean, are there prizes here if we win?
There are always virtual brownie points, Hayes. Of course, you will get that and bragging rights.
All right. I just make sure I'm hitting my buzzer real fast here.
Yes, absolutely. All right. And whoever wants to shout it out, we don't need to go back and forth, but first one, bot or not, writing a first draft of an email to a new client.
Bot.
Bot for sure.
Okay. Deciding who gets invited into the room for an important conversation.
Not.
Love it. Picking a restaurant for a client dinner.
Bot.
Yeah, I'll say bot. I'll go with her.
Deciding how
He
to
wants
phrase
he wants my points.
There you go. Yes. Deciding how to phrase a hard truth to a client.
It's gonna
That's a
be
not.
yeah, for me it could be a bot than me though. I might use it to synthesize it.
Love it. Okay. Naming a new project.
Bot.
Yeah, I'd say bot's certainly a good idea. Hey, how are we doing
Yeah.
on points now? Am I leading?
Yeah, right.
Okay.
I think I'm telling them at the end, so I'll let you know.
Okay, just checking.
Yeah. How about following up with someone who went quiet on you?
I think he's a bot.
Yeah, you could. Yeah, I'd say bot.
Scheduling out your week.
Bot.
Yeah, definitely bot. I use that for sure. Yeah.
Love that. Negotiating a deal.
Not.
I'd say not, but I might use the bot on the legal side of it, but just negotiating, no.
Dig this. I know one of your answers for this one because we've kind of alluded to it, but planning a vacation itinerary.
Oh, I know what she's going to say. My goodness. Whatever she says.
Bot.
Bot.
All right. And then the final one. This is a twist. Picking your karaoke song for the after party.
It definitely I need a bot for that because I have no
Bot.
idea.
Yeah, I think I might say a bot.
I love that. Well, and maybe we can ask you in the exclusive Substack what those songs would be, maybe. So we can maybe leave something for the guests listening. Okay, great. That is awesome. So the points are just like in my favorite show, Whose Line? They don't matter, and you're both winners today. So,
Yes. That's what I needed right there.
so you can add that to your LinkedIn after this. Yes, I'll leave you a recommendation. Amazing at bot or not. Well, thank you both for that. That was amazing. And before we close out, I do have one thing that I love to ask every guest. We actually ask it to everyone who onboards at Calendly. But if you could each have access to anyone's Calendly to book a meeting with them one-on-one, who would you choose, whether they're currently living or not?
Go for it, Hayes. I'm thinking.
All right. I think it's, I'm going to go pretty standard here. But I admire and love what he does. I would have to say Elon. I just, a guy that can handle all the things he does at about 7 companies. I'd love to kind of get an insight of, what he does. He'd probably give me about 60 seconds, but regardless, I'd love to just to meet and talk to him.
Yeah, that would be a fascinating conversation, I'm sure.
Yeah,
Amirah, who
60
are you
seconds
going
would be
with?
great.
Yeah.
I'm going to choose Reed Hastings and Netflix, who built Netflix, because I just think, to being willing to reinvent yourself over and over and over again, dating myself, remember Blockbuster, and now we have Netflix. So I just love people that are able to reinvent themselves and stay relevant.
I know. I love when we used to have to order Netflix DVDs through the mail.
You remember that? Yeah.
Well,
He's too
Elon,
young. He's too young to go to a Blockbuster, I'm sure.
No, I rented. Oh no, I'm a '90s, early '90s, so we would rent the video games and the movies. Oh my gosh, I miss the Blockbuster. But also, Reed, Elon, I know you're watching probably, so send these two your Calendly links. I'm sure. Set up
Hit
that
me
time.
up. Yeah.
Well, before we go, Amirah, Hayes, where can folks stay in touch with you, Amirah?
Absolutely. Follow me on LinkedIn. I'm on LinkedIn pretty often. And obviously, if you want to check me out on Grow, Scale, Develop, I have a newsletter and I share some of my musings and thoughts and tips as well.
Awesome. Hayes, what about you?
Yeah, I would have to say same thing. LinkedIn, I'm pretty active there. I have a presence there. So look me up. Please, send me an invite. Love to connect with you and learn more about and see if I could ever help you. But LinkedIn is probably the easiest, or our website, ihesllc.com.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for being here. It was fascinating to hear about your work and your takes on AI. So we'll have to revisit and maybe we can have a rematch on Bot or Not some other time in the future.
Yeah, because I really thought I won that, but that's okay.
Listeners, commenters, if you're there, let us know who you think won, the bot or not, and why it might be Greg. Maybe I won.
That's right. That's right.
All
Well,
right.
thank you, Greg, so much.
Thank you so much. Talk again soon. All right, friends. A quick reminder that if you haven't yet subscribed, we have a Substack called Mini Hats. I'm adding something onto the screen that you could either scan to subscribe or go to Mini Hats on Substack, where we add advice and stories from business owners like Amirah and Hayes. And we'll drop the link in the comments. And be sure to subscribe because we'll have exclusive content not covered in today's episode in the article coming soon. And finally, starting next week, How I Work will be available wherever you like to enjoy your podcasts. So head over to Spotify, Apple, or elsewhere next week and catch up on episodes on the go. To everyone who tuned in, whether you caught the whole thing, jumped in halfway, or are listening after the fact, we appreciate you being here, and we'll catch you next time on How I Work.